So, I just want to announce, I'm already on Facebook Live, but my YouTube video is just starting. My name is Leonard Clark, and I'm just doing an update, December 29th, 2016, of what's going on. President Obama just announced that he's having sanctions against Russia for the supposed hacking, and how I feel that it's a bunch of baloney. It's a vengeful, petty little action. The corporate Democrats, corporate Republicans have come out as of late, and you may think it's just the mainstream media, but it's a typical intelligence move, tactic from an intelligence agency that, this is what they do around the world. When you want to delegitimize who you feel are your opponents, basically in this case, alternative news, you and I, brothers and sisters who are, and hi Charles, how are you doing, who want to delegitimize us, what they do is they call us fake news, when in reality it's been the mainstream media telling us fake news. What we have, brothers and sisters, now look, I still love my country. I'm in the middle. I'm not liked by people on the far left who believe in no government, and people on the far right who believe in a church-state theocracy. I don't believe either of those. I'm not going to give up on striving for what Langston Hughes essentially said, paraphrasing, "Let America be again, America again." It never was yet. It should be, or it has to be, that kind of a thing. I believe this nation can not only survive but thrive and prosper, but we don't have to do it as the thug of the world. We don't have to do it with a CIA that assassinates democratically elected leaders. We don't have to do it by the thuggish tactics we've been using. Our corporations go into other countries. And so I believe America can thrive, and I believe we can still be leaders in the world. I am competitive, and so that will turn off people on the left and the right. But right now, the president doing this has just announced he's going to expel these Russian diplomats. This is just petty and vindictive. And really, what happened was, even if it was the Russians, which, I think it's a bunch of baloney, but even if it was, with their real enemy, what they don't want to say it is, they being the two-party duopoly, the corporate Republicans and the corporate Democrats, who attack the Green Party and the Socialist and Progressive Independents like myself. I myself am a Progressive Independent non-fracking party member. I've started that little party here in Arizona, so come join the party, have some fun. But they're really attacking Facebook. This two-party duopoly is attacking Facebook, Twitter, again, the internet. We have children who have been poisoned with lead poisoning in Flint, Michigan, but in reality now, even the mainstream media reports that in many rural communities, the Environmental Protection Agency did not enforce the laws of our country and are not enforcing them against many of these water companies around the country who have very high amounts of lead in their water. And we here in Arizona, and I will say, to the credit of one of the mainstream papers here in Arizona, they did report on the high lead levels in Pinal County, one of our 15 counties here in Arizona in the United States of America. Also, we've had some things going on. Today, this study was released, and it is on the front page of the Arizona Republic. Basically, we have it says, "Study Arizona Worst State for Electoral Integrity," and they take into they take in people's perceptions as well as other things to determine this, but we are at the very bottom. And I cannot tell you that I'm surprised that Arizona and Maricopa County is at the bottom for people's faith in our electoral system. I had two lawsuits, a federal lawsuit and a state lawsuit, essentially against the Arizona Secretary of State and the almost out of office Helen Purcell of Maricopa County elections, where absentee ballots are being thrown out with no problem. But because I'm just one person and I'm just a citizen, that's your justice system here in America right now. If you don't have a lot of money, if you're not one of the good old boys in the lawyer network, if you are not a celebrity, a powerful political person, then you can forget about really getting justice. You have to bow down and kiss up to the powers that be, or you're going to have your arse thrown in jail for a long time. So that's what's really going on here. We're undergoing a democratic spring, an indigenous spring of our indigenous brothers and sisters who are freezing right now, and their allies at Standing Rock. Because, we're damn tired of our water being poisoned. And by the way, I know some of my friends who are in the corporate Democrat Party, I know you're angry at me. And we've, and also brothers and sisters, that we've been tried to be nice to and I'm not saying all of them, but many of the corporate Hillary supporters, Democrat supporters, they are still angry, and they are blaming us and saying we didn't participate in the process, even though we voted for Jill Stein or we voted for Mickey Mouse, but we didn't vote for the liar of the Hillary syndicate, and we didn't vote for the monster Trump. They're still coming out against us, but they are angry at us. But I need to let them know. Do you know that your party, the corporate Democrat Party, that's great. The president set aside some places where they couldn't drill in the Arctic or in that area, but guess what? The corporate Democrat Party happily accepts contributions from frackers, fracking companies. Fracking is a crime against humanity. Essentially, it's not enough that we're poisoning our Earth already, in the global warming and increasing the temperature of our Earth by using all of this oil. Now they've got to get every last drop out, especially at the cost of poisoning our children and their children's children with fracking. They pump poisonous chemicals into the ground to blow up the shale and the rock to get the oil. And guess what? What do they do with that poisonous? They keep it secret, by the way. They don't tell us what is in their chemicals to break up the shell and fracking. They pump it right back into the ground. But guess what? My corporate Democrat friends and my corporate Republican friends, your leaders say it's very safe. Don't listen to Leonard Clark or Josh Fox of Gasland, because we pump it back into the ground, but it's in rock layers where it can't get to your water supply. So when you see your lighter or a match, when you light it in your water and it almost burns your hand, that's just your imagination. So that's what your party supports. As many of you know, the press has delegitimized many like myself who know that our president, our beloved President Kennedy, was murdered by a conspiratorial plot. A very respected journalist, David Talbot, The Devil's Chessboard. You can go and look at Legacy of Ashes. The man's name escapes me right now. That's another history of the CIA. Alan Dulles, whom President Kennedy fired, and his very powerful former Secretary of State brother, they took care of things with other politicians. So I'm not saying I want to go live in communist China where they only have one political party, but what I'm saying is, even though I still love my country, I love my country enough to know that there's no statute of limitations on murder. I know that we should stop pretending, especially after a congressional committee on studying this assassination said there was a conspiracy of our president. If we don't get to the bottom of this, if we don't have truth and reconciliation, even though I want to bring to justice the murdering you-know-whats that killed President Kennedy, we are living in kabuki theater. The CIA is out of control. President Kennedy was in the process of breaking it up, but guess what? It didn't happen. They took care of that now, didn't they? So, and as late as, what was it, right before the president came in, they destroyed the videotapes of the torture, the waterboarding, and now we got Trump in with his generals, or Trump's coming in very soon with his generals. But the president himself, President Obama, look, I supported him. I had people threaten to kill me. There were John Birchers out there, people with nooses at the state capitol. Ironically, it was the state police of Arizona who saved me from being beaten within an inch of my life to death by these racists. The president has gone after whistleblowers more than anybody else. He's killing more people with drones. He just signed in some propaganda anti-First Amendment little few sentences in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, a way to pay the good news, the real news people, to counter the people like Leonard Clark and all of you idiots out there that don't know that you're fake news. Because you see, if you're not watching it on Apple, or if you're not getting it from New York Times, well, it's all fake news. No, the public officials right now, brothers and sisters, like John McCain, Lindsey Graham, President Obama, and these others, they can't handle the fact that we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have YouTube. But by the way, and now look, I don't follow all of his views. I'm trying to think of his name, and it'll come to me. David Wilcock. He has a cosmic ascension, he calls it. There's some things that I really don't agree with, but I respect his right to say them. He put out in his video, and he's right, that YouTube, like right now I'm on YouTube and I'm on Facebook. Guess what? They are now finding ways to limit our freedom of speech. And pretty soon Facebook, if you put out something that they don't consider the real news, they'll put a warning. You know, this might not be true. So they get to start their little censorship bull crap. So, you know, just be aware, until the CIA, until we get it back to its main purpose, which was to gather intelligence, not to overthrow governments, not to murder and assassinate public leaders, guess what? We are having kabuki theater. We have people who are puppets out in front, but people behind them pulling the strings. And as far as our leaders worried about the sovereignty of our nation, guess what? They take money from China and other nations to lobby us. So we are being lied to, and I have a fly harassing me. It's probably a drone. Just joking. But then again, I might not be joking. Get away, you drone fly. Okay. You can see him as I shake my head. So anyway, I'm being attacked by a drone fly. Okay, I know, I'm making light of it. Okay, but it is true. There are people, you know, we are being watched more than we ever have been. Our Fourth Amendment right to privacy in this undeclared war on terrorism, which they have said, the powers that be, is going to last into your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren's lifetimes. They have, you know, they're spying on us all the time. That's what Snowden exposed. That's what Julian Assange exposed. I need you to go, if you can, read Legacy of Ashes. I don't, again, have the author's name. And especially go look at David Talbot's Devil's Chessboard. And he goes all into Alan Dulles, the CIA godfather. You will see stuff. So much has come out now, brothers and sisters, that it hasn't caught up. And the mainstream media knows this, you know, because there's only a handful of corporations now that are running everything. But they know that since it's so hard for people to just take in all of this, we have a hard enough time ourselves. The fact that you're watching this means that you're more involved than probably the normal person. Because, you know, who wants to turn on and hear about politics from some boring guy with, well, I guess, corny-looking glasses on? These are my dollar store glasses. I wish I could say they were Google glasses, but they're not. So anyways, so another thing that's going on here in Arizona is it's come back up into the press about the homeless and how we are going to deal with sheltering them. And I have a special place in my heart, you know, for the poor, because I'm one of them. And I have been homeless before, but not for very long. And the debate right now is whether they should build a short-term, another or larger short-term shelter and have less requirements to have people come into the homeless shelters here in the Phoenix area, or if they should keep pushing the housing vouchers. I'm for both approaches, but at least we are trying to push our government leaders here in Maricopa County, in this part of Arizona, central Arizona, and Phoenix to do something. And many of you who are from Tucson and Flag, it'd be great if you'd like to comment on what's going on there about the homeless. In fact, on our front page today, it says, of Arizona Republic, it says, state says it won't evict vets from homeless camp in Mesa, but site leaders want firmer assurances. So this is, I guess, apparently a group of veterans. Arizona officials won't force a homeless camp for veterans to vacate an area between Loop 202 and the Salt Riverbed, but instead will work to assist people in finding shelter and other services. More than 30 people who are homeless, many of them veterans, are living in tents and other makeshift shelters in an area northwest of McKellips Road and the freeway in Mesa on vacant land Hill by the Arizona Department of Transportation. So that's what's going on there, brothers and sisters. Also, going back into the international realm,